So, I want to show you a couple clips from Nick Wright, Danny Parkins, and just how wrong they were about the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Of all the teams that are still playing that could have gotten the news Sunday night quarterback out, this is the team that it is the least devastating for. Now, that's not necessarily a reason they're going to win, but that is, I think, objectively true. This is the team most equipped to deal with it. Make no mistake about it, that's not about the team that's most equipped to deal with it. That is the absolute lack of respect towards Boone Nix. All year we can question how good Boone Nix is, how much of Denver's success is because of Bon Nick. This is correct. Like all year they didn't lose Josh Allen. They didn't lose Lamar Jackson. They didn't lose. He played very well in that playoff game though. He did. But odds are set based on a large body of work and a large sample and expected performance. But Bo Nix is, I know Broncos fans would say he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think most people would have Bo Nix outside of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. So if a middle third quarterback gets injured and then a top third backup quarterback, just based on number of times he's signed the offensive coaches who have vouched for him, his fact that he's been in the league this long, just, it's better than, I understand what you're saying. He's not a rookie backup quarterback. It's a guy who at least has experience. Exactly. It is obviously a drop off, and it's obviously a huge blow to Denver, and the odds, the line would not be this if Bo Nix was starting. I'm not dismissing any of that, but this is not, the Broncos have not been Bo Nix dependent. So that I think is the key point. So, and I want to say this while on the front end saying, I thought Bo Nix, of the 8 quarterbacks that played this weekend, you said it, Brew, and I agree with you 100%. I thought he played the best. I thought Bo Nix was awesome. At the end of the first half when they were trying, I thought maybe to steal 3 points and they end up getting a touchdown. Talking about before Josh's fumble and obviously at the end of the game. And I didn't hate the fact that it seemed like in overtime they were like, why don't we chuck it deep? He's not going to throw a pick and maybe we'll draw a PI. And they were able to do that. So I want to give Bo Nix credit, and I obviously, had he not been injured coming off that game, you feel very differently about the Broncos, but over the course of the season, we watched the Broncos 7 times win games with quarterback play about the level I expect they can get from Stidham this week. And that's the thing that was always a false statement completely. What people fail to recognize that when this offense had any issues, and therefore the quarterback's stats weren't great, it wasn't fundamentally a Boyks problem. And that is what I had been fighting throughout the course of the entire season. I mean, I'm recording this video. It's 1 in the morning. It's after all the games. I just took a shower and all that. And I just was thinking about all this, and I'm like, I want to get this video out right away. I want to record this and I want to post this because I'm so irked how that playoff game unfolded and the takes going into it. Trying to pretend like Bo Nix wasn't a massive contributor to the Denver Broncos. I mean, seriously, like, this isn't a Boone Nix. They didn't lose Josh Allen. And it's just like, can we stop? I keep showing this because it matters so much, because it shows you the sheer volume and production that Bo Nix has had. And it's not like it's on the back of, well, he's got, A.J. Brown and Devontae. It's like you can't say Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Like, there's nothing you can just throw that aside to. You can't explain that away. In fact, his first 2 years, even though the Chiefs obviously weren't great this year, more offensively than anything, and the Chargers, are not this unstoppable team. Their defenses are great. Last year, the Chargers' defense was great. Last year, the Chiefs' defense was great. LA this year, the defenses were great both times around. So it's not like you're like, well, he's in a terrible division, and of course, he gets to go up against the Chiefs' defense, which are bottom in the NFL, and the Chargers' defense, which is bottom in the NFL. So, he's gotten 4 games off of those teams alone that he was able to just cook the books. Like, there is no situation in that. And I obviously know that the Raiders aren't some great team, but like every single quarterback, every single team has at least one bad team in the division that you can, play pretty well against. So like that, so the point that I'm trying to illustrate is that it's not like he's in a division where it's like he's not in the NFC South here, just cooking teams left and right. So it's like, well, yeah, dude, are you kidding me? He's got 20 touchdowns in the NFC South alone or something like that. That's not the story here. It's obviously not anyone who's watched the games. And in fact, the start of his career was rough because he went up against like tough teams on the road, tough defenses against the Seattle Seahawks, who then went on, and obviously this year it'd be in the Super Bowl. And now this is the problem too, looking at things through a betting mentality, through a strictly analytical. Because you heard what Danny said, where he said, you know, it's a larger sample size body of work, and that's what we use for prediction models and this and that. And it's like, yeah, bud, that's not exactly how sports works because there's a difference in big moments. That's why we separate playoffs from regular season. That's why we draw the biggest line we possibly can. That's why we hyper-focus on the final drives of a game. The fourth quarter, the 3rd and 9 with 3 minutes to go. We look at that much differently than 3rd and 4 in the first quarter in week 4. And your prediction models don't show that. And when a game is getting a little wonky and there's not a lot of plays to be made, a really physical, tough, versatile, off-script style quarterback like Bo Nix is worth his weight in gold. And you can step up and rise to the occasion in those moments. It's why I defended a Jalen Hurt so much, even in the both of his various Super Bowls, because say what you will about him, his ability to step up and take over the run game if need be, which he did in both Super Bowls, is so massive and crucial. It's so crucial in a way that some of these other quarterbacks can't. And we saw in this very game, what was the difference maker in the game against the Patriots? Drake May's legs. The weather starts getting crazy, and Drake May was able to use his legs at least for one big play. That's all that mattered, let alone multiple big plays. So, in a lot of ways, losing this game at the end of that clip, I then went on and said this is a lose-lose situation, which is kind of funny because I was right about this, because I said that, if the Broncos win, then it'll just be used to downplay Bo Nix. And now after that game, and again, I blame the coaching. I think they still could have won the game, and even now Sean Payton said he regretted it and admitted that he made a mistake, like he understands it. So, because some people tried to rip me for my take in the post game and like, oh, you're a Monday morning quarterback, I'm like, well, Sean Payton regrets it too, so I don't know what to tell you. And so I take issue with, I blame that. But are we really going to sit here in Bizarro World and pretend like Bo Nix isn't at least 3 points better than Jared Stinn? Really? We're going to pretend like that? We're just going to make that up now, that Bo Nix isn't worth at least 3 points to his team. If he's not worth 3 points to his team, well, then he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just that simple. Seriously, it's really that elementary, and it's really that straightforward. And when you want to try to pretend that the Broncos won these games with, I guess, just like bad quarterback play. No. Listen, I'm not going to point out because what people think about is they think about the Raiders game and the Jets games and stuff like that. And it's just like, guys, the whole offense was disconnected. The play calling was disconnected. Like, that wasn't just because everybody jumped, remember those games. They jumped on me and said, oh, you said Bo Nix is good. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, well, how'd he look in that game? And it's like, one, I don't expect my quarterback to be amazing every single game, every single snap, every single moment. So let's just get that out of the way. That's number one. Number two, Bo Nix isn't a big problem in this game. You're not like, oh, he's just bad. We hyper-focus on like a couple missed throws here and there and use that now to flavor everything else, the course of a game. It's like if there's an ugly, weird game and a quarterback throws like one interception or a fumble or a couple missed throws, they then use that as a reference point as to pretty much like how that quarterback essentially did that like every drive. It's actually, I don't know what it would be. I'd love to talk to like a sociologist or something, or social psychologist or something, and be like, why is it that we can watch a quarterback like have a bad throw, and then for the rest of the game that filters everything else we see. So if they lose or they don't have amazing stats in our minds, we act like they essentially made a bad throw or a bad decision every single drive throughout the course of the game when that's just not what happened. Or how sometimes we see like two bad throws in a game and we somehow think that that was like the defining factor in a game. Yet we watch, again, more established quarterbacks of Stafford and Mahomes, whatever. We see them clearly miss throws. They miss throws essentially every single game. Stafford overthrows, someone has a ball behind them, and yet we kind of just like it doesn't land as heavy as it would say a Bo Nix or thing. I don't know what the phenomenon would be. It's something that I would have to honestly kind of look into further, but no one really cares. Honestly, I'm the psych nerd here, so matters more to me. But I find it really fascinating, and that's why I always tell other people when they're really hyper focused on their team, on their quarterback, it's like, guys, watch I point. That's why I point out like a Matthew Stafford moment who against the Panthers, he missed a couple checkdowns. I remember he had some overthrows. He had the fumble, the interceptions. And I'm like, see, even an amazing MVP candidate, an awesome quarterback, all-time great, like he misses throws, he misses reads, he turns the ball over. It's not just your quarterback or whatever it may be. And so in the beginning of the season, yeah, Bo Nix was not perfect those first few weeks. He was, overthrowing some guys on like 65-yard passes and whatnot. And, he was a little sped up and a little bit, hyper. But he played awesome throughout the course of the season. He played awesome, and he was awesome in awesome moments, and he was massive in that game against the Buffalo Bills. Snorts. He was awesome. And Nick even conceded he was the best quarterback of that weekend. Please stop pretending like you can magically throw in another quarterback and just and it's just automatically a guarantee that you get that performance or get that win. Is it possible? Sure. Have we seen a Matthew Stafford rise to the occasion? A Jalen Hurts rise to the occasion? I'm just using like the established ones in that moment of time. And I'm not purposely not using like a Lamar or Mahomes or anything like that. Those quarterbacks are too charged. I'm talking about quarterbacks that we've seen win a Super Bowl, seen big moments. Yes, but we saw Bo Nix do it, and to downplay that is just kind of ridiculous. And then, so to downplay that loss. Now, if you want to say that you thought that STDM had the power, had the potential to be awesome, that he can rise to the occasion, that he can step up, that's a different take. And that was actually my take, because I was like, I don't really know. I don't know what Sidham can do. I was like, but I am having a little bit of confidence because of, and I, laid out all my reasons why. But it certainly wasn't because, the drop-off from Bo Nix is not that big of a deal. It's just like, okay, sure. And that's why when people are saying that Sidham is better than Bo Nix, that's why I always say, well, if you invented Facebook, you would have invented Facebook. That's how sports works. If Jared Sidham is better than Bo Nix, then he would have been better than Bo Nix. If he's the starting quarterback, then he would be the starting quarterback. It's that straightforward. It really is. That's how sports works. That's how sports works. And so it just irks me that we constantly want to downplay what a quarterback like Bix does. It really does. And sometimes sometimes I already hear other people's thoughts in my head where they'll be like, well, you do that about so-and-so. And it's like, no. You guys got it mixed up. Think about what Danny even said where he's like a middle third. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but essentially a middle of the pack quarterback and a fall off to like an upper third backup quarterback, and how the drop off's not that big. And people will say, well, you downplay what Matthew Stafford does. You downplay Patrick Mahomes. It's like, no, I don't. People are trying to act like those quarterbacks in any specific moment, that those guys are like literally invincible legends, that they are doing things that are on such an inhuman level compared to Josh Allen or, whoever. And I'm always like, no, that's not the case. And look at the situation around these quarterbacks and the gifts that they're getting, whether it's Puka, whether it's Travis Kelce, Tyreek Kell, and like, again, that's a separate conversation. But it's not downplaying them as great, because that's why I've always emphasized those quarterbacks are amazing. Those quarterbacks are great. Mahomes is elite and is so special. Stafford is elite and so special. And in some of those moments that you could say you're downplaying them, it's like, no. I'm just saying that they're not as on as high as you possibly can go in the universe, as much as you're trying to make them out. And I'm just trying to argue, and this is why. And that's why it always drives me crazy. Shout out Sean Brennan, who will be like, oh, right. So Patrick Mahomes he doesn't do anything for the Chiefs. And I'm like, that's obviously not what I said. No, that's what you said. It's all Andy Reid. I'm like, nope, that's not what I said. You keep inventing that, and you can do that all you want. But what they do about Bo Nix is kind of like, oh, he's okay. And yeah, that's kind of it. Like, we can just kind of throw any quarterback in those moments. And you know that they could have won like 7 or 8 games essentially with a backup, with like middling of the pack backup quarterback play. And it's like, and again, Jared Sine, it's not that he played bad, but like, you're factoring in now playoffs, weather, Drake May, Patriots, like you're not going up against Justin Fields. You're not going up against Geno Smith. You're not going up against the Raiders and the Jets. Like, so, like, huh? You're not going up against week 1 Cam Ward. Like, these are fundamentally different situations. This is the AFC Championship game, and Bo Nix is a proven big game player, and that's why I push back again with so many of those Jalen Hurts narratives as well. And I talked about that in the live stream. Someone who I went back and forth so much over with Jalen Hurts, and he's like said, like, he rips Jalen. He does not think Jalen Hurts is great, and I even got him to admit, which was a pretty cool moment, because I was like, listen, we've seen a lot of these quarterbacks now fail to handle the moment in these big moments. And I was like, say what you will about Jalen Hurts. He's proven to handle the moment, like even against the 49ers when they lost. Like he was never, the moment was not too big for him. That wasn't the problem. Not going to tell you that it was a perfect, flawless execution. But he had ice in his veins in any moment, in any of these playoff games. And it's like, you got to be willing to give someone the credit. You can't constantly just say, no. You got to be willing to concede. You just got to. Otherwise, you're rooting for one player and hating everyone else. And I don't understand how that's enjoyable to watch. I don't understand how that's enjoyable to watch. And we got a front row seat in this game for the Broncos against the Patriots. And and I'll tackle this tomorrow or in a few hours when I wake up. And this is going to drive me crazy. And this is why I try so hard to be as consistent and as unbiased as I can. And I know everyone will still be like, you're not consistent, you are biased. It's like, no. Like, and this is also pretty funny too, because some Broncos fans got mad at me because I was like, listen, played amazing Broncos, elevated all that. I was like, but Bills, should have won that game. And some Broncos fans kind of got mad at me. And it's just like, I am saying this game. I'm like, Broncos should have won this game. The Broncos lost this game more than the Patriots won it. And the Patriots will get mad at me. And I'm like, you beat Jared Stidham 10-7. And I'm a massive believer of the Patriots and Drake May, and someone even in the comment section of my post-game video was like, you just downplayed the Patriots. And it's like, no, I'm not. But this was clearly bad execution, bad decision-making, backup, quarterback back, etc., for the Broncos. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like those things didn't happen, like those things don't matter. I'm not just going to make this unconditional cheerleading video for the Patriots and say, yeah, Drake May elevate. And I can still make that type of video, and I still will to a degree, because Drake May, albeit it wasn't a great game, but he still made the plays when he needed to, and he was able to overcome the elements and make some nice throws in some difficult moments, and he deserves that credit. But at the same time, the one touchdown was gifted to them because of the backwards pass from what's it called? From STDM. It's okay to say that. Just is. It's okay to admit that. And if you're a Patriots fan, it's like, yeah, thank you very much. You're at home. We're playing. Keep on keeping on. Just like the Broncos said to the Bills, that's great. You thought it was a catch. You thought Josh Allen choked, messed up. Well, it doesn't matter. We won. You lost. See you next year. See you next year. And so I'm fascinated to see how they're going to talk about this game. Obviously, the weather was crazy, but a big focus on this game should also be like, wow, Bo Nix holds this team together a lot more. Just Bo Nix's mobility. And again, I always find it funny. We always want to pick and choose when we want to emphasize someone's mobility. We always want to pick and choose when we want to emphasize that. And it's very strange to me. At one point, it was like mobility was everything. And if you're not a mobile quarterback, you're clearly just on a different level than everyone else. You're just at a lower level. And then when you have a quarterback like a B. Nix who's clearly mobile and can clearly move around in the pocket, like just even a mobility from just like moving around in the pocket, stepping up. Bo Nix is awesome at avoiding sacks. Like there's just a comfort level even in that has a stabilizing factor for the entire offense, by the way. And the coaching staff that you lost in that game, and we could say, oh well, so and so dropped the pass, and so yeah, that's true, absolutely. But a Bo Nix is more likely to be able to overcome those moments. When you do get flushed out of the pocket, there was a couple moments that Sidham easily could have run, and he just simply did not. And it's like in those moments, I'm pretty confident Bo Nix would take off, especially as we had seen him as the season was continuing to unfold. That could be a massive difference between winning and losing. That could be the difference between going to the Super Bowl and putting up 7 points in the AFC Championship game. That's the difference between getting beat in the divisional round and being one and done and winning a Super Bowl. And there's no reason and no need to downplay that just because you're wrong about your prediction of who this quarterback was going to be. And if you actually think about it, a lot of the people, and I don't mean Broncos fans, but a lot of the people that picked the Broncos to still win that game was not all because of their belief in Sean Payton. It was not because of their belief in the defense and how they can slow down Drake May and on the road and all that type of stuff. It was because of their lack of respect of what Bowen brings to this team. Straight up. And we got a front row seat that was undeniably wrong. Undeniably wrong. So if you're Bo Nix fan, massive victory. If you're Denver Broncos fan, a big bummer. A big bummer. But you know what? I'll tell you this. I do not think Jared Cinema is going to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Okay? I think that have the potential to be one of the ugliest games you could ever imagine. I think that game could have been over within 2 minutes and you'd just be like, okay, it's over. Let's just go home. It would have been a replay of what happened with Seattle and Denver against Peyton Manning, because I'm just like, no. So, but it's a bummer either way. The bummer still is at the core of Bo Nix being injured. Us being robbed of what Bo Nix could have done in that snow and in that weather. That would have been awesome to see. And then we got to see 2 young quarterbacks who handles it better. That would have been really awesome to witness, and unfortunately, the universe robbed us of that. So, but hopefully it just sets up for a better tomorrow. Kind of have to just wait and see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Bix and the Denver Broncos? Kind of how the conversations aged going into this game and what they'll say now. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.